Congressman Matt Gaetz is here representing Florida. Congressman, how you doing, brother?
Oh, great to be with you, Mike.
Good to talk to you. What is your thoughts on the second assassination attempt on the former and hopefully future president?
Tragic, avoidable. The fact that this shooter national without being neutralized is concerning. And I am starting to get the impression that we do not have enough force protection of supporting President Trump that we ought to have given the threat environment. I met recently with a senior official at the Department of Homeland Security who said that there are at least 5 known assassination teams in the United States right now, at least 3 of which are foreign, that are out to kill Trump. And with that type of activity, I don't think we should be allowing people to set up for an extended period of time and wait to take their shot outside of his Gulf properties or his other properties. I'm also deeply concerned that the second attempted assassin was actually encountered at the border upon his return to the country from Ukraine. And the Customs and Border Patrol thought his story was so suspicious that he was recruiting freedom fighters all over the world to go fight in Ukraine. And when they asked him how he was financing this, he said, "Oh, well, my wife is paying for it." And that seemed odd. And so the CBP officials referred Ryan Rouse to the Department of Homeland Security's investigations unit to determine what was going on. And they declined to even proceed with an investigation. They just stopped and let the guy in the country. And we've got a lot of questions about that.
Okay, hold on. I got a lot of... I never heard any of that second part or that first part. What were you saying about these 5 assassination teams?
We are aware of at least 5 teams in country that are geared toward killing Trump. And I think, 3 of them that we know are foreign in nature. 2 of them we know are domestic in nature. And that calls for a force protection that we do not have around the former president right now.
Okay, who were you talking to that talked about this?
A senior Department of Homeland Security official met with me, said they were aware of this and were concerned that the Secret Service was not providing sufficient support.
Was this like a hearing, or was this like in your office?
In my office.
This conversation. Okay. Now listen, Congressman, I'm just a guy here. I don't know things. Why are these people? What do we do? Why are we just having assassination teams walking around?
Well, one reason is because when they entered the country, there was insufficient scrutiny to stop them from doing so. Right? I mean, the 3 of these teams are foreign inspired, from my understanding. Iranians, Ukraine, Pakistan, and the work is obviously challenging to protect protective detail like a presidential campaign that is vigorous and out campaigning. But the concern that this person brought to me, and we're still investigating it, is whether or not, given this threat environment, you've got the right sniper teams, the right tactical teams, that when you are having a movement of the campaign, that you've engaged sufficient local law enforcement and that you've got other resources. And, we've seen a few times where resources have been pulled off of the Trump detail for the Jill Biden detail or for the John Bolton detail. And we're going to question whether or not that was sound given what we knew about the efforts to kill Trump.
Yeah, I'm concerned that we have assassination teams walking around the country. I feel like there should be some sort of preemptive stopping of these people that we know about.
Yeah.
We could talk about, like, should we have a security around the golf course? Great. Should we have someone up on the water tower or maybe on that roof that might be dangerously sloped? Sure. But I'd love it if we just didn't even have known assassination teams walking around in the first place.
Yeah, that would be ideal. But in the world in which we live, with an open border, with insufficient resources to stop people from coming here from other places to do harm, this is the threat level we have to confront. And so we can't be Pollyanna about it. We've got to be vigorous.
Wow. Okay, so now let's talk about this guy who was stopped at the border, because So he really did go to Ukraine.
yeah.
I wasn't sure if those pictures or whatever. So he really went to Ukraine and was stopped at the border on the way home. How do we, the CIA or whoever, not know that there's an American hanging around in Ukraine?
Well, I think we did, and I think that it's there's nothing illegal or improper about an American choosing to go to fight in Ukraine. Many have, but when this person returned, they had been involved in these alleged recruiting efforts. The Ryan Rouse said to CBP, "Oh yes, I've been recruiting people from Taiwan and Moldova and Afghanistan to go fight in Ukraine." And it seemed like a lot for one person to be doing, right? It seemed as though there were deeper foreign contacts. And that's why Customs and Border Patrol said, gosh, why don't we investigate this guy? Why don't we have close eyes on him in the country? Because his story seems so implausible and odd. And I am very concerned that the Department of Homeland Security's investigations director, who I questioned at a live hearing yesterday, couldn't give a reason for why the investigation, when referred, was not picked up, was not followed through. It should have been. And had it been, we could have avoided this second assassination attempt.
What are the chances that this guy is like a Forrest Gumpy, just kind of like goofball heading over there, or something much more nefarious? Breitbart has an article right now. Questions arise over would-be Trump assassins' shady connections in Iran.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, so what? Like, where are you on that spectrum of he's just like stepping on rakes, doing whatever? He's like kind of like fumbles through life and goes to Ukraine and comes back, or it's like, no, there's something more.
There's a non-zero chance that the Forrest Gump theory is the right one, but I think far more probable is that this is someone who had extensive foreign contacts, and those foreign contacts have to be investigated. And if this is someone who, was receiving communications or inspiration or financing from foreign entities, that's deeply concerning. The fact that days before this attempted assassination, I had someone from Homeland Security in my office warning me about a Ukrainian assassination team working in the country, and then this guy shows up, proverbially wrapped in the Ukrainian flag, lobbing bullets in a Trump national, that's concerning to me. Those connections have to be looked at, and I think it's more probable than not that this shooter had foreign contacts that were involved in financing some feature of his operation.
Wow. We talked to Senator Ron Johnson yesterday, who was frustrated by, that's to say the least, about the FBI slow rolling any real investigation in the first assassination attempt. And I got a bunch of emails from people who are just frustrated, outraged that, it's just like, well, they're just not giving us the info. Well, it's like, okay, what are we doing? We're never going to find out anything on these guys.
Well, it seems to be the normal dance of failed congressional oversight to, lob letters like Red Rover on this stuff and then wait it out. Look, the 118th Congress ends at the end of the year, and we've got to play like there's no tomorrow here when it comes to getting the truth. And I think it's not a good thing that we have not sent a single subpoena upon being rebuffed. Like you see Republican congressmen pound their chest over not getting answers. Well, then send the subpoena, engage in the lawful, proper process to enforce it if it's indeed enforceable, and work your way to the information. The other thing is that we had a hearing with the Homeland Security Investigations Director yesterday. We should be holding those hearings regularly, and at times, browbeating the tough answers out of these officials rather than allowing them to just engage in a letter writing campaign over their obfuscations.
I'm worried that the aura of invincibility of the Secret Service is gone now. That twice, people can do the most obvious, things that you would, if we wanted to do something bad like this, no way could you just get on the roof, next to his speech. That's absurd. Oh, well, I guess you can. No way can you just stake out for 12 hours on the edge of his golf course. Well, no, I guess you can, right? That's a thing you can do and get pretty darn close to the president. In fact, shooting him in the head. I fear that more people will now be like, oh, I can actually do this now.
It's a great point. The barrier to entry to assassination chaos seems to be lowered. And there's two theories of the case there. I have Republican colleagues who have not ruled out a mole inside the Secret Service providing information about points of vulnerability. I've not seen evidence of that, but I've got colleagues that are very, very smart at this who say they can't rule that out given some of the anomalies in the fact pattern here. I think more likely there's such a sense of disdain for Trump, and there's such a desire to diminish him within some of these agencies that giving him less protection, not having him surrounded by a bunch of, strong men that appear authoritative in nature, that type of a virtue signal to drain protective resources away is tolerated because, frankly, in their heart of hearts, they don't think much of Trump and they don't think much of his safety and security. And it's that disregard that I think has created the dynamic you described.
Yeah, interesting. Tell me about the continuing resolution and what the status is on that. What vote there was yesterday?
Yeah, I think it's just a dumb thing to do to vote on the funding of the entire government all at once. I think that doing so allows programs to avoid specific review. It allows agencies to avoid review. My friend Eric Prince said the way to deal with the Secret Service is by cutting off the money to the things that aren't working and to hit them where it hurts in their budget. But when you govern by omnibus spending bill or continuing resolution, you really lose that opportunity. There aren't, votes on a particular reduction in spending anywhere. And I think that's why we go $1 trillion more in debt every 100 days. I think it's why the dollar is diminished. I think it's why interest rates are rising and why prices are rising. And the pain of our debt and our bad government spending is actually starting to really be felt by people when they can't buy a car, can't buy a house, are paying 2 times as much in interest over the life of a loan. And it's not like something that happens because some Wizard of Oz-like character turns a dial at the Fed or at Washington, D.C. It's because of the spending, and that's what I'm fighting against.
Yeah, well, next election. We asked this to, my last question, I'll let you go. We talked to Massey yesterday, and I asked him, what are the chances that if the Republicans win the House, win the Senate, and the presidency, that we will actually see a cut in spending? What do you think?
Well, Rand Paul says it best. When Democrats are in power, Republicans are the conservative party, and when Republicans are in power, we have no conservative party. And we've seen Republicans time and again surrender on spending. The fiscal hawk is an endangered species in Washington, D.C., but not quite yet extinct. We've got a few of us who are going to vote no, who are not going to participate in this march toward fiscal ruin that our country is on. And it's that serious, and it will affect every family in this country. We need more fighters, and we don't just need to win majorities. We actually need fighting Republicans willing to stand up against the lobbyists and the special interests who want the corrupt, never-ending, gushing federal spigot of dollars.